Giant balls. That's how we mark the end of one year and the beginning of the next in the United States, but when you stop and think about it, that's actually kind of weird. But it's rooted in past timekeeping methods. In the mid-1800s, no one wore wristwatches, nor did they carry around smartphones to keep updated on the time of day. Nearly every person in these days kept time by the ringing of church bells, and these loud dings would give everyone in a city a fairly accurate way of tracking the time of day. But they weren't perfect. Church bell dings could only really be heard a certain distance away. For most people in cities, this didn't cause a huge issue, but for sailors, this was a big problem, as they needed to maintain the exact time to be able to accurately calculate their position at sea, and church bells just couldn't handle that distance. So in 1829, a Royal Navy captain named Robert Wauchope proposed an innovative idea to create a visual clock that could be seen through a telescope miles away. A giant ball on a pole. And it was erected on a tower in Portsmouth, England, and every day at 5 minutes before 1 p.m., the ball would rise halfway up the pole, at 2 minutes before it would rise all the way up the top, and finally, exactly at 1 p.m., the ball would fall and create a large thud. That thud was used for local timekeeping because they could hear the noise, but that visual drop was used by sailors to track exact time. This new timekeeping device worked so well that in 1833, another one was built atop Greenwich Observatory. The concept later spread to the US, where the first dropping ball timekeeping machine was built in 1845 at the US Naval Observatory in Washington, D.C. As for why the balls were dropped precisely at 1 p.m., that has a lot to do with who operated them. The balls were typically kept atop observatories because they were already high locations, and astronomers could keep the most accurate time. At 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock, astronomers would typically at these times take accurate measurements. So 1 p.m. was selected to best accommodate these astronomers' schedules. As the years passed, timekeeping methods got better and more effective. Communication methods were developed and time balls eventually grew unneeded. But that hasn't stopped them from still being operated in harbors across the world. However, most are operated as tourist attractions today. But that's the reason why we use giant balls dropping from a pole at midnight every year on New Year's Eve to mark the start of a new year.